Good morning. I think we're organized and ready to go, so seeing the clerk here will ask that she call the roll.
Commissioner Brendan Miller.
Here.
Commissioner Henning.
Here.
Commissioner Snyder, absent. Commissioner Warren, absent. Commissioner Jarvis. Present. Commissioner Snyder.
Here. Okay, we'll ask Commissioner Miller to lead us in the prayer, and then Commissioner Jarvis in the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here today. We ask your hand of healing on some of the commissioners who are not here today, and for the members of the public who could not make it today. We ask that you would enlighten us with your wisdom and your power in regards to the doings of the county this morning, and help us make decisions that will benefit the people of Lapeer County and the people of the world. We say that in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, on the agenda, I know we have some things to add here. But first, we have a resolution I would add is under new old business number 3 for Eric Pearson, a resolution. And then we have 2 items in terms of motions that have come to be added. One would be, we're going to do personnel. We'll have motions A, and then the motion from today is B. That's okay, Mr. Chairman?
That's fine.
And then at the end of that list of draft motions, we'll include the property motion that we've got. Very important. Having included those, are there any other items that I'm not aware of that we need to be adding or subtracting?
Did you say properties? Okay, good.
Motion to approve the agenda is amended.
We have a motion and support. No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay. Minutes for May 5th, 2022. Any motion to approve?
I'll move to approve it.
Support.
Any changes, corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay. Elected officials. By the way, there should be maybe things passing in folders. Let's see. There it is. Okay. Again, bring up as necessary. Elected officials. Time. And clerk. That's right. Go for it.
Lauren, I'm Community Mental Health. I just want to update the commissioners. We successfully submitted our Ccdhc grant. They changed the grant parameters this year. It used to be $2 million a year for 2 years. It's $1 million a year for 4 years. So we restructured our our thinking and programming around those parameters. Wanted to acknowledge Jackie and her staff. They were very helpful in helping us get registered in SAMS. I'm going to forget what SAM stands for. System Award Management, federal government system that manages payments out. Thank you, Jackie.
No problem.
It was a bit stressful at times, but we waded through it. So hoping for great results.
Thanks for the update. Other department heads?
Good morning. Briefly, I wanted to take an opportunity to introduce you all to Sam Lovell.
Good morning. Good morning.
He is going to be with my offices for the summer as a summer intern. He is a student at Georgetown University in Washington. And thanks to Mr. Bishop and cooperation agreement with Fort County Sea Foundation, Sam's able to help in my office. And this Monday, just a couple of days ago, was his first day. So I wanted him to have an opportunity to meet you all.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to meet you all.
Have a good summer. You're going to be busy.
Yes, he is. Thank you.
Other departments?
Sure. Good morning, good morning. Stats for the week. Watched in the jail 25, Almont 1, Lapeer City 3, Sheriff's Office 17, MSP 2, Memorial 1, Lapeer Township 1. Out of those, we have 13 felony charges, 15 misdemeanors. Of them, 20 of them being male, 5 being female. Traffic crashes 105, 17, or I'm sorry, traffic stats 105, car crashes 17, personal injury accidents 4. Out of the 25, and 2 needing medical treatment, 4 of them detoxing from drugs or alcohol, and 1 mental health intervention. Another thing I'd like to say, I thought yesterday, to Shaw Clinton, I thought that was a class act. And all of you, and obviously Commissioner Henning was seeing it, but I thought you guys all did a fantastic job. I thought that represented our county really well. I thought it was very impressive. The whole thing was good. Got a couple speakers that might have talked a little bit too long. We
won't talk about the name.
Yeah, we won't think who that was, but they could probably throttle it back a little bit. But I just wanted to say thank you. I thought that really, that was impressive. And I think for all of us, I think walking away from that is just something nice to see how professional they've done that was. So great job, great ideas. So just want to say thank you.
Other departments that want to report? Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed then. Public time.
Good morning, Alan Pierce, Hadley Township. I do want to commend the board for the proposed resolution for insurance reform, finally getting in front of you all to look at, yay or nay it, and move on. I finally, it was a long time coming. Also wanted to talk about the way that y'all have handled some of his last few months in office. I appreciate you listening to the public. We don't necessarily always agree, but we can agree to disagree at the end of the day. So those of you who have stayed, looking forward to that carrying on with a lot of anticipation, and the new people coming in, shepherding them, because that's what we're called to do. Have a good day. Thank you.
Good morning. Carol Wimner, Beth Township. Yesterday, my husband and I went to Lansing, and we participated in what was from the Oak Initiative and it was, we gave each legislator, each senator and representative a copy of 2,000 Mules and also a copy of Patrick Kovic's new book. We went to every office and we prayed outside each office. We had the 10th floor of representatives, and then I had a representative that was in the Capitol building. But we went to every office, we prayed outside, and then we politely went inside, told them who we were, who we represented, and gave them the book and the DVD. We also told them to have a blessed day, and that was it. It has been called a stunt. MLive did an article, it had to have been last evening because I heard about it last evening. It was called a stunt by us. And we joked about it because my husband always said when he was a little boy, his brother wanted to be stuntman. Well, guess what? Got to be a stuntman yesterday. It wasn't a stunt. It was a wonderful group of people who kindly went into these buildings. And I was very, very happy to say that Christy, from who you're going to, this resolution you're going to present today, she was actually in Lansing yesterday in the same building, and when we saw each other, we're like, what are you doing here? Well, guess what? She was representing. She was representing the people that she cares for, and it was just really good to see. When we were in these offices, not one phone was ringing. I'm not joking. Not one phone was ringing. Not one of these folks was on the phone answering a call. And you talked about it. Call, write letters. People need to do it. When Transformation Michigan, who has a House of Prayer in Lansing, had a fish fry. And they always invite all the legislators over, and it's a free fish fry they do every once in a while. And there was a gentleman there who was a representative from the UP, and he kept talking about a governor, about they need a governor they can work with. And I mean, like that's true. But you know what? We need a governor that represents the people. Yes, we all need to work together, but we don't need to be compromising. I don't believe in compromising. If you know the right way to do something, you do it the right way. And another thing is when we got into the elevator in the House of Representatives building, it was packed full. Like, I think it was my husband and I and two other people, and then all these people got in. They were talking about nitrogen, and so it must have been something they were doing with farming. And the legislators in there literally packed in, and it was like I felt invisible. I felt like they were talking and we weren't even there. And they all got out of that elevator. But you know what? One man who was not a legislator, he was with something else, stopped and said, "You first." I mean, that's the folks, we are invisible. I mean, that's how we feel. And then the last thing, I guess, about 2,000 Mules is, let's remove the drop boxes.
Other members of the public?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Greg Wise from Metamora Township, and I'd like to address the board with an item that was discussed at last week's Committee of the Whole, and that being the Mgt Wage Study. As someone who was here over 20 years ago when the RISE study was done, I would hope that this commission and administration would take advantage of the institutional knowledge of those that were on the board and administration at the time to see what was good about that study and what didn't work about that study. Two things that I believe are necessary are the elimination of the wage step program, particularly for positions that require specialized training, education, postgraduate degrees, licensing. We're asking people to come here and do the job that we expect them to do. But, oh, you're not going to get paid right away. You're going to have to wait 3 years to get full pay. I believe that that's a disincentive for people to come and work here. The other thing that in my years of interviewing potential employees is the health insurance. We have a waiting period before you qualify for health insurance. I know the law allows you to do that, But for people who are leaving another position to go now, have to go on the exchange and buy their own health insurance, unless they're fortunate enough to have a spouse who has coverage, is another disincentive to coming to work for Lapeer County. The final thing I'll say to you is I wish you luck in the study. I'll tell you that the devil's always going to be in the details. When the RISE study was done, there were lots of employees who didn't think they got the increases other people did. And of course, no matter how transparent you tried to be with the process, they didn't care. And so it's important that you do be transparent, but understand that you're not going to make everybody happy, but the study is certainly well needed to help attract and retain qualified employees for Lapeer County. Thanks for giving me the time to speak to you.
Thank you. Other members of the public? Seeing none, of course, we have a second public time at the end. Madam Clerk, I need to ask if maybe I goofed. We went through the minutes. Did we need to do a couple roll calls? I thought we'd done them last meeting, but I noticed they were open in the minutes for a couple resolutions that we approved.
Okay, I think we're voting with our motions.
Well, these are previous.
You were gonna repeat the resolution today, you were just using them from the committee of the whole, is that correct?
Thinking out what I'm. Let's see if I can argue properly. Like the, okay, we have for the sheriff. I don't know which one other though. Well, my notes are so good, I didn't write it, so maybe we were okay. I withdraw that question. I'll look back to where my notes were and see what I was doing to myself. Okay, then moving on to the agenda. We do have first a resolution to vote on. Resolution for Beth Knowlton. We have a motion for support. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Roll call. Okay, we got it right. Please.
Commissioner Zender,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Henning,
Yes.
Commissioner Darlis. Yes.
Okay, now, if we can invite you up, this is something we don't get to do very often, but we'll take that opportunity here. This is Beth Knowlton, who has worked for the county of Lapeer in various roles for 40 years and is retiring, but has already told me she's willing to volunteer. What a neat thing. Here's the resolution that we just approved. Whereas Beth Knowlton was born to Larry Potter and Barbara Wicke in Lapeer, Michigan, and she attended and graduated from Lapeer East High School in 1980, then went to college at Western Michigan University from 1980 to 83, and then attended the University of Michigan from 83 to 85, and received her bachelor's degree in public administration. Whereas Beth Knowlton was first employed by Lapeer County as a clerical assistant for emergency management in the summers of 82 and 83, then worked part-time from August 1983 to February 85 until she was hired full-time for the district court office. Whereas Beth Knowlton took the position in Lapeer County front of the court in August of 1985. 1985. Think how long ago that was. As an account clerk, she was promoted to a caseworker a few years later in July of 1989, where she served continuously in this capacity. Whereas Beth Knowlton married the late Harold Knowlton on April 30th, 1994, and they were blessed with one son, Garrett, in June of 1997. Whereas Beth Knowlton has been an active member of the St. Paul Lutheran Church, where she served as past Sunday school teacher and also served as Mayfield Township trustee and planning commissioner for several years, where I see her frequently. Whereas Beth Knowlton will be retiring on June 3rd after a total of 40 years of faithful service to the county of Lapeer, where she now plans to enjoy taking more trips with her son Garrett, gardening, and spending time with her family. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lapeer County, Michigan wishes to honor and express our deep appreciation to Beth Knowlton for her many years of dedicated service to the citizens of her community, and all of Lapeer County, and wishes her well in her retirement. Signed by those of us here. We need to get a few more signatures to make this complete, but congratulations. It's more than congratulations. It's really thanks when somebody puts in that much time doing public services. There's a tremendous commitment that we've made over many years. So, thank you. Well, you may want to get this back to the office so we can get all the rest of the things signed. Thank you. Okay, another proposed resolution. Miller, I think, is going to present that.
Yeah, I will. All right. So we had discussed last week, and we've had several discussions over the last several weeks regarding the no-fault auto insurance performance and the problems with it. So taking the advice of the board, or the recommendations of the board of the resolution I passed that we looked at last week, I took out all the whereases and left only the therefore be it resolves, and the further resolves, of course, to send off to our county and township officials. I guess I could read it out loud just so the public knows what it is, if that's pleasure of the board.
Please.
Yep.
Are you moving this?
Yeah, I'll move it right now. Okay.
I will support it.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Now, therefore, be it resolved. Actually, we probably put therefore be it resolved. There's no now. So make that change right now. So therefore, be it resolved that Lapeer County Board of Commissioners hereby urges the Michigan Legislature to amend the Michigan No-Fault Auto Insurance Reform Act to address a sustainable reimbursement cap for services provided to auto accident victims and preserve the benefits to survivors who receive long-term care paid by the Michigan Catastrophic Claim Association. And be it further resolved that the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners request that the county clerk forward copies of this adopted resolution to the governor of the state of Michigan, the state Senate Majority Leader and Minority Leader, the state House Speaker and Minority Leader, and the members of the Lapeer County delegation to the Michigan Legislature. And that's the resolution.
We do have people here representing that industry. Do you want to comment, or shall we move ahead with the vote?
I mean, I comment every time that I'm here, so I can comment again. I don't have a clean slide. I'm Christy Groce with Advisor, and as you know, we have been here. That was beautiful. I wish we could have had that earlier. That was shorter than just one. But yeah, that's Big County just passed it this past Tuesday, so that makes about 25, 26 counties now that have adopted it. As Carol alluded to, I was at the Capitol. I go to the Capitol once a week. We do have other members of Advisor that are there every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday without fail. meeting with reps. I met with a couple reps yesterday, Amos O'Neill and David Martin. Also spoke with Yusuf Rabbi, and we have a lot of support. It is taking momentum there, and I do feel that the adoptions of the resolution is needed from the counties are making a difference. Everybody at the Capitol keeps saying, keep doing what you're doing, keep doing what you're doing. So I do appreciate that you guys have put up with me, even though you haven't had choice. But put up with me every time that I came here and spoke, and I do appreciate getting put on the agenda and discussing it. Thank you.
Any further discussion from the board members? Seeing none?
Roll call.
We do need a roll call, yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Zender,
Yes.
Commissioner Jarvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Henning.
Yes. We now move on to another resolution, which the board has in front of them. I believe it's addition. That is for Eric Pearson. We have a motion. Support. Motion and support. No discussion, I'm sure. All those in favor say aye. Oh, roll call. Please.
Who's the motion maker? Mr. Miller?
No, Brian.
Second, okay. Commissioner Zender,
Yes.
Commissioner Jarvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Henning.
Yes. Okay, and since Rick is here, we have him come up. Read this. I should paraphrase this a little bit. There is no area that I've had more phone calls in than roads. And yet it's Rick that does all the work of it. The county government, per se, doesn't have really hardly any responsibility. So thank you for all those phone calls that I was able to refer on to you to answer. Here's the resolution that we approved. Whereas Eric Pearson was born to Elon and Marilyn Pearson and grew up in Lapeer, Michigan, where he attended school. Whereas Eric Pearson married Virginia Pearson on October 4th, 1986, and they were blessed with 4 children, Erica, Liz, Ginger, and Clark. And whereas Eric Pearson began his employment with the Lapeer County Road Commission as a mechanic welder on May 4th, 1987, then was promoted to shop foreman on March 1st, 1996, and became the superintendent in August of 1998. Whereas Eric Pearson then took the position of assistant manager in 2005 and was appointed as the managing director a few years later on July 16th, 2007, where he has continuously served in this capacity. Whereas Eric Pearson will be retiring on May 26, 2022, after more than 35 years of faithful and dedicated service to the Lapeer County Road Commission, where he plans on spending more time with his wife, adult children, and their 12 grandchildren. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lapeer County, Michigan wishes to honor and express deep appreciation to Eric Pearson for his many years of dedicated service to the citizens of the community and all of Lapeer County, and wishes him well in his retirement. Thank you. Again, 35 years, somebody who also came up, in a sense, through the system and stuck it out to serve people in the county. We're able to recognize some really fine people who made a big difference in Lapeer County. Eric's one up. Thank you. And again, we probably, you want to get that back? We'll get it. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Let me hold it for a minute.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you. Okay, so the board chairman back there, I didn't ask him if he wanted to make any comments. Probably say it that way.
We just appreciate him doing all the hard work.
Okay, we now have no other additional business on the new old agenda, but we do have a lot of draft motions. So, committee of the whole meeting. Let's see.
I'll move number 1.
We're gonna go one by one, or do you want to do it by page?
We have to do a roll call.
Okay, is that okay? This is where the roll call where that was concerned. Let me get back to my agenda. Thank you. Wrong part of the agenda. I knew there were some. Okay, so we have first, motion 1 with roll call vote required by the clerk, please.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Zender,
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yeah. And I'm assuming we snuck in a second there. I know we had the motion. Okay. Okay, back to number 2.
I'll move motions 2 through 5.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay. 6.
I'll move motion 6 with a roll call.
Support. Any discussion? Not roll call, please.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Zender,
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis,
Yes.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
And finally, I'll move motion 7 and 8.
Support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay? Seeing none, passes. Okay, again, I didn't really invite the road commission to make comments on what we just passed for your millage for November. Do you want to make any at this point?
I mean, I guess if I could, just for just a second, I won't take a lot of time. Again, I appreciate letting us have the opportunity to let the public vote on what condition the local roads will be in and help us. The last time I was when I commented on the price of asphalt on our one bid, we just received a bid Friday. I told you last time it was about $80 a ton. We just received a bid Friday on a federally road job on Dryden Road, an overlay project, and the price of asphalt now is $95 a ton. So it continues to attack the road our funds away. So hopefully we can work hard and get the village passed, which we know it's going to take a lot of work. But hopefully the language changes we made from the previous time it was on the ballot will help us. And I don't know if you guys have any questions. We've got our work cut out, and I'm retiring, but I'm back for the village run, so it lasted about that long.
So I'm sure they're happy you're back to help them with that.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure when you believe in something, I mean, that's what you did.
I think the only way we're gonna fix the local roads. You asked for a kind of a little slogan to go by. We feel that it's local roads, local decisions, and local roads matter. So we're working out a little slogan that we can run with. So thanks again.
Well, thank you for coming earlier this time. So,
Yeah, giving us time.
yeah. Okay, moving on to the next area is personnel. Sure, I've got this in order already. Personnel. And Commissioner Miller has A and B in this case.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask the rest of the commission if they wanted me to read out each of the personnel motions, or if you're okay, just go on page by page. All right, I'll move motion 1 through 8.
Support. Yeah, guess I would see if highlight any that are not in that 6-month
Yeah.
continuation.
The only highlights we have, let's see.
Like number one is
Yeah, number one.
special.
Is that?
That's summer intern.
Yeah, so we have a summer intern at the prosecuting attorney's office. It's just temporary, starting at 16 an hour. Just to help them out for the summer. They have a college student from Mgt Wage Study, was it? I don't quite remember.
Michigan State.
What was that?
Michigan State.
Michigan State, thank you. Yeah, for Michigan State, it's gonna help out the prosecuting attorney's office, so that's great. Great way to get someone's foot in the door, and hopefully they'll come back after they graduate. So I think that's the only special addition to that side of the personnel motions.
Friend of the courts was not 6 months. The clerks was not a 6 month, but other than that, they're basically we're filling positions of people leaving. And as you'll notice, for most of the motions, per our board action earlier, where we asked that any that went beyond that 6 month time without being filled, that they be brought back. Our vigilant department heads have gone ahead and done that. So we know they're still seeking those positions. We have a motion, so you made that for all. We have a second. Any discussion on any of those, so we're talking one.
Actually, I only moved 1 through 8.
1 through 8, yeah, okay. 1 through 8. Okay, seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
All right, I make a motion 9 through 16. As Dial alluded to, some of these are re-ups because they went 6 months stale. So we had to re-ask for permission to hire. Most of those are in the community mental health side of things. I think it's the only special condition to those.
Maybe 16, I think that's maybe a new position.
Yeah, the number 16, if you want to look at that one, community mental health changed their table of organization. They eliminated a part-time to have a full-time for medical assistant position in order to meet the needs. So that's the only big change. They have funds for it, it's not coming out of county general fund. So.
Any other further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Again, I guess I comment that long list of positions that have been open 6 months, again, shows the challenge for all of our departments in terms of what we're able to pay based on our current wage agreements. Again, we're looking at the wage and job classification study to see where we end up and what we can do that will improve that. Okay, we have now part B to personnel.
Part B for the public's appreciation, you might not have a copy of this. We had a special personnel meeting this morning just to review 2 positions that opened up at the front of the court. Full-time secretary position and a full-time accounting supervisor position. All of these are previous positions that just simply went vacant and need to be refilled. So I would ask to move motion 1 and 2.
Support. Motion and support, discussion. Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. That passes. We have American Rescue Plan Committee motion, and ask Commissioner Zender to go into a little bit of detail about what we're proposing here.
Sure. This motion to award pursuant to recommendation of the Art Committee and in response to the impact of COVID-19 public health emergency to approve the Trozewski Park Disc Golf Course proposal and installation to aid tourism for the cost not to exceed $50,000 to be paid from Fund 281.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there support? Support. Motion and support.
So to explain this a little bit,
Please.
So we're trying to come up with some ideas on things that we can do for like the parks that are not labor intensive. So once you put in like this disc golf, other than mowing the grass, which we're doing anyway, there's not a lot of labor costs that go into it. So it's something that in other areas is a pretty big sport. There currently isn't one in Lapeer County. I believe Oakland County will be the closest to here. Addison Oaks Park has one, a disc golf course. This would be an 18-hole, and there's an advanced level, and then more of a beginner level, different tees that they throw these things into. There's a company out of Marlette, Michigan that is very involved in two different aspects. One gentleman, they actually make these discs. There's a company up there that is, I think, third in the, it used to be United States that they're making these. And there's also a gentleman that designs courses from Marlette. So we got with him, myself, Quentin, John, and a couple of the guys from the parks. We all went out there, looked at the situation. They were very excited to help us bring this to the community. So we thought it was a way of giving the younger people, I mean, certainly this is designed for all age groups, but the younger people, I think especially, will appreciate this, give them something to do.
Okay, any discussion? As I had some further thought of this after we discussed about it, would we be okay to wait a week to make final action? So see if anybody from the public has a comment. We're not in a rush where we have to absolutely decide it this week.
Not that we're in a rush. However, MVP Disc Golf is a global company, and so this last month, the course designer and the person who has structured this proposal for us, they were in California for the entire month because the largest nationwide disc golf tournament was held there, and they were the premier sponsor. So their team, that expertise is going. So it's kind of funny to say we have such a high class, highly sought after company right in Marlette with a really tight time schedule. And so if this is going to happen, I mean, we can put anything off for a week. But my personal recommendation is that we move forward. Not only do we have the recommendations, our building and grounds department has walked the parks. This is a result directly from the Park and Rec survey and plan that was created by GLS Region 5, which has been recommended for alternative sports options, and a community survey was presented. We had public information sessions, we've had public input sessions, and this was one of the key areas that they say they needed to improve. We are actually working on behalf of the public just based on that study alone. My biggest fear is more supply chain and logistics. We're in May, it takes construction, and I just heard Mr. Pearson say that asphalt's going up, so is all other building materials. So we're locked into a price, and if we would move forward, we could lock in that price, and I'd feel confident that we would be honored that price. If not, I just hate to have to come back and ask for more money later.
Okay. Anybody else have that concern?
I would just ask one question. The land that's currently being used, what's it being used for?
Right now, there's a nature walking trail. That's it.
For a very small percentage of this piece of property. In front of, or between the lake and the parking area, there's that wooded section. There's a little nature trail through there. He would be encompassing that as well, but all the other land that we would be using is being used for nothing.
That's correct. And we had asked about, what about encumbering like sidewalks, walk passes, you know, like where people naturally go to get to the playground center, pavilion, the water park? It's on the other end of the park. So we're not taking over any public space. It's primarily used for those other activities. And just like Commissioner Zender had just said, the percentage of area that we would take over for what is a walking trail is minute compared to the acreage of the park.
It's basically unused wasted land right now that we're paying for.
We're taking a field and putting it to use.
Gotcha. All right, that's all I need to know.
Further comments? All right, all those in favor, then say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
Thank you.
It passes. Okay, back to the rest of the agenda. Not aware of any other committee updates, fiscal discussion that's needed. Anything, any comments you want to make under fiscal discussion?
We have properties.
Oh, sorry. You're right, this committee passes.
Motions.
Okay, this needs discussion.
Okay. Approved outright purchase of Ford 2022 Ford Mavericks from Knowlton Ford of Lapeer for a total cost not to exceed $93,260. And grant funds in line items 221-286-980.000 and 221-282-980.00 and 221-205-980.00 at no cost to the county general fund.
Motion? Support. Support. Okay, presentation.
This is for the health department. This is for, I believe, environmental health primarily. Just replacing some older vehicles. They have several that have over 160,000 miles on them, and they're quite rusted. These vehicles, if we order them today, they're telling us right now it's 9 months before we get them. Whether that holds true or it takes longer, we don't really know, but that's what they're telling us. So we'd like to get these ordered and replace those vehicles as soon as we can.
And the pricing on these,
Was, so this is through the government bid process. So the price is pretty good. These same vehicles, because Chrysler is no longer doing the government bid, or at least at this point they're not, they priced something similar to that for $10,000 more a piece. So, and these are actually the Ford Maverick, for anybody who doesn't know, it's a little pickup truck that gets like 32 miles a gallon. Four-door pickup, all-wheel drive, little pickup box. They'll work great for what their needs are.
and if I recall correctly, there's a time limit on these funds being available to the health department.
At least a portion of that, there's a time limit on, and if they don't use it, they lose it. So like I say, it's 9 months before we can get these out.
Further questions? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay. Ad hoc committees, no. We've already covered those. Fiscal planning, anything under fiscal planning we need to talk about? Mr. Bishop?
No.
Sorry. Audit motions, I guess I'll pick on somebody here. How about Commissioner Zender?
I'll move the county audit motion and the road commissioners, audit motion with controller's signature.
Support.
Discussion.
I'm tempted to vote no on the road commission just because everyone's here today.
All right. Thanks. Stir up some more. Yeah, okay.
See what kind of reaction we can get.
Everybody waits. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, roll call. Just not with it. I apologize. Okay.
Commissioner Sutter?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Jarvis? Yes. Commissioner Kennedy?
Okay, I do remember it's public time. So, any members of the public who would like to comment?
Hi, I'm Tom Coleman from Deerfield Township, and Carol had brought up the 3,000 mules video or movie, so that's what I wanted to discuss is the election process. So last summer, I spent basically the whole year researching election fraud and numbers and registered voters, and what we came up with, there were, at the time of the election, there were almost 3,000 more registered voters than adults in Lapeer County. I brought this to attention of my township clerk, Debbie Oliver. I don't think I got a chance to speak to Teresa about it. I took this to Ed McBroom. Everybody has a half rear excuse on why this was. I went back to 2004. So in the Lapeer County's history, so for the first time in Lapeer County history, we had more registered voters than eligible voters. How do you ask the question? How do you have more registered voters than 18-year-old adults? It's literally impossible, right? So the first time in Lapeer County history, we actually did a mailer. We handpicked 150 people out of Deerfield Township. We mailed 150 mailers out to people that we kind of suspected weren't legitimate voters. We had 4 of those come back. So four mailers come back. I talked to the Lapeer County postmaster. They said that if you send something certified mail with a stamp, if someone has been associated with that address for more than 18 months, it comes directly back to the sender. So according to him, those 4 people that were marked returned to sender back to me, and were not associated with that address in Deerfield Township, but somehow they actually voted in Deerfield Township. That's 2.7%. So if you extrapolate that out, 5.5 million votes during the presidential election, that's 148,500 votes. Trump lost the election by 147,000 votes. So if something like this can happen in a small county like Lapeer, and I'm not blaming any of the township clerks, I don't think there was any fraud on their behalf, but I do believe that the Secretary of State now has access to the voter rolls and the registration list. Before, you used to have to go down to the township clerk, swear before the clerk that you're going to register a voter. That was the only way into the database. Now the Secretary of State can add people on their behalf, and this is per my township clerk. And per my township clerk, and her and a couple other clerks said that they had people that showed back up on their voter rolls that they suspected that Benson used either a 2010 or a 2012 registered database to send all these out. So I think that's a problem. I mean, I don't know if anybody in this room think that's not a problem, but I would think that we need to address that somehow at the county level. I don't know what the rules and the laws are about restricting the state from having access to township voter registration lists, but that's an issue. I would say is our founding fathers didn't set up boroughs and counties, divisions of the state for a reason, but they did it to where the state can intrude in on counties, and obviously that's an issue. I think that's pretty much sums it up, but just keep this in mind, we had more registered voters than eligible voters in Lapeer County history in this 2020 election. And that's, if you watch that movie, it kind of alludes to the fact that it's the same reason they had all these people that were not, they were duly registered in other states, and that's a problem. So I don't know, the drop boxes, in my opinion, and Carol might disagree with me on this, but if we're gonna have mail-in voting, I would rather have a drop box that has 24-hour surveillance than remove the drop boxes, and now I can take, if I'm a mule, I can take a stack of 100 ballots and just shove them in a post office drop box anywhere I want. So that's something to think about. I don't know what you guys' take is on that, but we have a problem, and it's destroying the integrity of our election. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Other members so far?
I'm glad yesterday went well. Thank you so much for supporting the resolution. These ladies care, they care, and it was, like I said, it was so good to see them in Lansing yesterday. They were just waiting to talk to somebody, as the legislators come down the elevator, come in the lobby, and it was just good to see them. Lately, we've been hearing more about school districts and counties and different, even auto plants making their people wear these masks again. I told you last week that my sister had passed away 2 weeks ago. Well, it's been a week now, week and a half, and she wore that mask religiously, like it was a religion. And I'm just telling you, these masks, they don't work. We know they don't work. I don't know what's going on, why we think we have to control people like this. We don't, but whoever is. And Rose, who is usually here, sent me an article this morning, and I know I only have a couple of minutes, so I'll read as much as I can. Rose gets up and tells she's a nurse. She's so intelligent. And this article is from the Surgical Neurology International by Russell L. Blaylock. COVID update, what is the truth? The COVID-19 pandemic is one of the most manipulated infectious disease events in history, characterized by official lies and an unending stream led by government bureaucracies, medical associations, medical boards, the media, and international agencies. We have witnessed a long list of unprecedented intrusions into medical practice, including attacks on medical experts, destruction of medical careers among doctors refusing to participate in the protocol. For the first time in American history, the president, governors, mayors, hospital administrators, and federal bureaucrats are determining medical treatments based not on accurate scientifically based or even experience-based information, but rather to force the acceptance of special forms of care and prevention, including remdesivir, use of respirators, and ultimately a series of essentially untested messenger RNA vaccines. For the first time in history, medical treatment protocols are not being formulated based on the experience of the physicians, and we all know physicians that have been told, can't do that, treating the largest number of patients successfully, but rather individuals and bureaucracies that have never treated a single patient, including Anthony Fauci, Bill Gates, EcoHealth Alliance, the CDC, WHO, state public health officers, and hospital administrators. The media, TV, newspapers, magazines, medical societies, state medical boards, and the owners of social media have appointed themselves to be the sole source of information concerning the so-called pandemic. Websites have been removed, highly credentialed and experienced clinical doctors and scientific experts in the field of infectious diseases have been demonized, careers have been destroyed, and all dissenting information has been labeled misinformation and dangerous lies, even when sourced from top experts in the field of virology, infectious diseases, pulmonary critical care, and epidemiology. The last thing I'll say is when we were in Lansing yesterday, it rained all day. We saw so many umbrellas that legislators and workers in the buildings were using. On those umbrellas, printed hospital names, healthcare institution names, insurance company names, and it was like, well, we know who gave you this money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan Pierce, Hadley Township. I commend the board for passing the proposed resolution for insurance reform to at least add our voice to the legislators in Lansing, amongst the other counties that have already adopted. Thank you very much for that. As far as the mules video, I would hope that you've all had a chance to look at it, to see it, because seeing is believing. I too stand for, if we are not going to remove these voters boxes, drop-off boxes, we definitely have some kind of visual over them that can be checked to see if we are experiencing the same thing in our county as other counties across our nation. Keep up the good work, keep up the good fight, and remember that God is in charge of everything.
Any other members of the public that want to ask? Seeing none, commissioners' reports. Start with commissioners.
Just want to reiterate yesterday's thing. I thought that was very nice. Went off very well. People were very polite. Love to see that continue in the future. Whether it's that exact scenario or something different, whatever. And Simon was a big head. Welcome him anytime he would like to come to county commission. I think he would definitely brighten some people's days.
Thanks.
Commissioner Jarvis.
I would just get a Senator's comments on that.
In case for anybody in the audience, the reference to yesterday was the state of the county program at the economic club. That's what the reference has been to. Commissioner Miller, anything you want to add?
Nothing as far as additions to that. I think it's a great thing that we did. I'm happy we did it. I've been wanting to see something like that for a long time, and I'm so grateful that we finally had the ability to do it, and we put in a huge push on that and so many things. What I just wanted to say is I hope we keep the momentum up on all the different programs and different ideas that we have coming. The disc golf is a great idea. It's out of the box thinking. I can think of other times when people would say, yeah, that's a cool idea, but we're not going to do it because that just seems like a lot of time, a lot of work for what? And you know what? And to be honest with you, that's a good point, but also, why not? So I'm very happy that we are making real forward momentum on this kind of stuff to help people Lapeer enjoy Lapeer County more. So, and then also we'll have to come with, I think, some more advertising dollars to our parks eventually, once we get our parks back up to par where we can be proud of them. I think right now our parks are in good shape, but they could absolutely be better. There's some upgrades and updates that need to be made before we make a real push, but you know, I think people from Genesee County should be coming over to Lapeer County sooner than later, right? We get everyone who goes over to Genesee, why can't we have people coming from Genesee over here? Why can't we get some people to stay here? You know? I just remember when I was knocking doors 2 years ago, a lot of people didn't know Genesee Park existed, so that needs to change as well. The other thing I just wanted to make mention of is something a little outside of our periphery, but still very important to make note of. We have a lot of farmers in our county. We have a lot of farmers in my district. Especially in my district, we have a lot of smaller farmers. I would say sub 1,000 acres, like sub 500 acres. Just keep them in mind as they're planting the last couple weeks of this week. Especially right now with the price of fertilizer. If anybody has seen that, it's about 3 times what it was last year. So when you have higher food prices, don't be surprised and don't get mad at a farmer for it. They're trying to do the best they can with higher, you know, it's 3 times the fertilizer price plus the ever increasing price of diesel and gas, which is just ravaging them. So they're crossing their fingers, they're hoping for some money. So thank the farmer if you have a chance. They could certainly use it after sinking in all this money and hoping for a good return. So that's all I'll say.
They still have to pray for good weather,
Exactly.
let alone good markets.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, a couple thoughts. We've been talking about the parks. Certainly disc golf is, as was pointed out, is an attempt to find some interesting use of the parks to attract people that is low maintenance. And that's still a big concern at our parks. We do not have, while we're putting ARPA money into equipment and some extent supplies, vehicles, and it will make the parks better, but we don't have necessarily more money for staff. So the maintenance has to be pretty low maintenance. That's going to continue to be a challenge, may even be more of a challenge when we get through the wage adjustments that are probably going to come. Opening day, I thought since we've got an audience, do we have a fixed date? I heard the hope was to open Memorial Day. Do we have anything fixed yet that we can announce?
I've never felt more pressure than what you just asked me my entire life. Yes, I'm going to say yes. The John Bustle's report, is John here? I'm reaching for straws here. John Bustle he showed us pictures this morning. The pools have completely been scraped and repainted. Pumps are up and operational. Memorial Day is the target date to open.
For
at least Torzuski is important because of the lifeguard situation, which plagues everybody. We have a unique situation where we have 2 water slides, so that makes it that much more demanding for lifeguards. Torzuski is a green light go, weather dependent, and we're aiming at Memorial Day.
So the best place to check for current conditions, whether we're open or not, for the water features, we're always, I think, open for the grounds, but for water features would be.
Yeah, we have
website?
We can have it posted on the website as well as on social media. They'll be posted. But just as of right now, let's pick up the phone and call. If you're planning a pavilion event, and I know that they've already booked out pavilions, so I know that there will be people planning on being there. But if you're thinking about spending the weekend in the park to check out the new things, I would say that earlier on last year, we put in a new playground set. So all the playground equipment that used to be there, that is no more. It's brand new, children appropriate. I think it's age ranked from like 2 all the way up to 12. And so we've given them options for the younger children to enjoy the park. I think that they will. And while you're out there, look at the water slides, look at the grounds, enjoy Peril Lake. We will no longer have a pontoon boat for rental, and there will not be kayaks for rental, but they can enjoy the lake shore. But other than that, we're aiming at Memorial Day weekend.
What about General Squire?
So the General Squire Park, as far as the water slides go, they're the issue with the lifeguards. So the Squire Park will be open. Obviously, you can attend, but I know Julie and John right now are watching what happens with the lifeguard situation. We had 2 lifeguards come in, and they were hired just last week. So if it's not going to open, John and Julie are calling everybody on the pavilion rental list to inform them, because a lot of the times they rented the pavilion so they can go to the water park. So if that slide is not open, the pavilion renters will be notified to make sure that they either are refunded or they can have or still enjoy their day if they plan on being there.
Sure.
So the Trzuski playground equipment, that is 100% finished. The General Square playground equipment, they're working on, I believe, currently, and the goal is to have that also 100% finished before Memorial Day weekend.
For that update. Okay, I thought I'd mention historical courthouse I had word from one of the participants in the historical committee that the second weekend for Anatomy of Murder was very successful. And I think it was a sellout both of the last two nights. So it was a good fundraiser. The event went well. People were safe and enjoyed it. So we should have hopefully at some point a report on the financial success that we're sharing in part with Community Theater on. Then the other thing, we had some comments about registration and elections. At a later, maybe the next meeting, if the clerk would like to make any comments, we'd certainly be
I'd be happy
glad
to
to
return.
wait till then. Any other matters to business? Motion to adjourn. We have a motion. Support. Those in favor? We're adjourned.
Did you see John Paulson
Kara?
at the door?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, please.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this one.